Hey guys, I got asked recently from a couple of people as to um, why I chose Younique. Um, well, I did it for my kids. I also did it for myself. I really wanted to join Younique, so I babysit and I earned my $99 kit that way. I worked all summer babysitting, and part of the school year, one of my daughter's friends, and that's how I earned my kit. The reason why I joined was because not everybody knows my reason behind it, but when I got introduced to Younique, their background, their foundation was for women who have been sexually abused or sexually assaulted in one way or another. I grew up in foster care. I got taken away from my mom and dad because they did drugs, and they weren't. I get to put it this way: they weren't ready to take care of me or my sisters at the time. When I was with our parents, I was sexually abused from one of my mom's boyfriends. So was my sister, both my sisters. So when my sponsor introduced me to Younique, I did a little bit of research on the company, what their background was, why they started it, what was it for, and to come find out, when I found out they had a foundation platform to for people who have been sexually abused, I fell in love with just that part of the company. I tried the products. Just my sponsor Jessica had did a party under my name, and I won a couple prizes through her, and I tried them for the first time. I really loved the products. I loved the foundation. When I tried the foundation, I liked it because of the fact that it didn't break my face out. The mascara, loved the mascara. But the whole reason why I joined was because I want to be able to help somebody else who has gone through that. I got taken away when I was 10 from my mom and my dad. It was probably one of the most heartbreaking experiences I or my sister have ever went through at that age, at that time. And being put in foster care to people you don't know, to people who have no idea who you are, where you came from, what was, the background of the story as to why we got taken away. I can tell you from experience, I had 3 different foster families that the foster dad had done stuff to me. The first time it happened, I didn't say anything. I was young, didn't know. The second time I told somebody. The third time was in my recent foster home before I met my husband. My foster dad would do things and say things to me. I tried on so many levels to tell my foster mom what was going on. The more I felt the courage to tell her, the more she pushed me away. The more she let me down. Because to me, when you accept a foster child in your home, you're supposed to love them as if they were your own. Not every foster home is that way. I know this from experience. When it first happened, I didn't know who to turn to. I told my best friend. I told her mom. They tried everything they could to get me out of that home. No one would listen. At the time, I had a boyfriend. I told him, and he didn't believe me. And that our relationship just kind of soured downhill. Then I met my husband. I told my husband what was going on. That day, my husband drove me to the police station and make me do a report him to what he was doing. From that day on, I have not stepped in that house. My husband, I moved out and got married. On top of that, I had found out I was pregnant, not by my foster dad, but from my husband. I was going downhill before I met him. I was turning to drugs and drinking at 17. I am now 30. When I found out I was pregnant with our daughter, my life completely did a 360. I turned my life completely around. With my husband's family, they support the support that I had. You know, they helped me. I was depressed. I was lonely. I had nobody to talk to. I had, I couldn't talk to my mom. I didn't have nobody but him and his family. If it wasn't for them, or for me finding out that I was pregnant, I can probably say today, my life would not be where it's at today, honestly. I honestly believe that I would probably be on something, or in jail, or dead. So, the reason why I signed up is because I wanted to share my story to why I signed up. And that's why I signed up, is because I've personally been there. I personally know what it's like. And I don't talk about it very much. I really don't. I don't like people knowing what I've went through. But the more that I succeed in Younique, the more I realize I have to share my story. I have to get it out there. Because there's other ladies, that are going through that. Through the same thing I went through. I now have a daughter. And I do not wish anything to ever happen to her. Because I'm telling you, if it ever does, this mama bear would... yeah, you get the point. So, I want to be able to help uplift somebody who's been through that. I want them to feel like they are worthy, that it's not their fault that happened to them. It is the person who is doing it, not theirs. For the longest time, I had that blame on me. I felt like it was my fault. I felt like that, if I would have done something different, maybe he wouldn't have touched me. If I would have told somebody sooner, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But it happened for 3 years. It started for 3 years. My junior year was the year that I finally tried to tell my stepmom, or my foster mom, what was going on. Every time I got the guts to tell her, she would tell me she was busy reading the Bible, or she had an errand to run, or asked if we can talk about it later. By the time she was ready to talk about it, I didn't want to talk about it. I turned to school, working. I didn't want to be home. Every day after work, every day after school, I'd come home, do a little bit of my homework, I do a little bit of my chores, and then I leave for work, and I work from 4 till about 9 o'clock at night, and I walked home, because I only lived a block away from where I used to work. I did that for the longest time. I also, like I said, I was going down a road that my parents was going down, were, and I realized that that wasn't the road that I wanted to go down. That wasn't the life I wanted to live. I wanted to better myself and to have a better future for my daughter, for my children. I didn't want to have a child and then their mom be on some type of drugs and can't take care of her kids. Because I grew up without my mom. I grew up without my dad. Do I have a relationship with them? With my mom? Yes. Is it close? No. We're not that close. My mom's got schizophrenia. So, talking to her on the phone, sometimes she forgets who she's talking to or who she's even talking to, and that breaks my heart. Do I have a relationship with my dad? No, not at all. I talk to him here and there, but I don't have that bond with him. My kids barely know my dad, which is pretty sad, but in a way, I really don't care if they do or don't. I mean, when you grow up in foster care from time you're 10 all the way up to 18, that they weren't there. They chose their drugs over me and my sisters. So, when I got pregnant, that's when I changed my life around. I had my daughter, and she is the best gift that God had ever given me to change my life around. Because I don't ever want my kids to feel like that I don't love them, that I chose something over them. No. My kids are going to know that I care for them enough to have changed my life around, so that I could be the mother that my mom couldn't be to me or my sisters. As I get older, I realize more and more that I wish I would have said something a lot sooner the first time when it happened. But when you're young, you don't really understand, what's going on. When somebody threatens, if you say something to this person, they're not going to believe you. And being in foster care, I honestly believe that nobody would listen to me because it was foster care. My last foster family was, when I first moved in, hands down, they were the greatest foster parents ever. Then the second year I was there, that's when my foster dad started doing stuff to me, started making moves, and it lasted for 3 years. That was one of the hardest life that I have ever went through, because I had the courage to come out and tell somebody. It took my husband to get me away from them. I had called my caseworker who was in Elkhart, because that's where I'm originally from, is Elkhart, Indiana. And it moved me all the way down north or south towards Louisville, Kentucky. I lived in Seymour, Indiana. That's how far they moved me from my family. My entire family uproot and moved me and my sisters 8 or 9 hours away from where I'm from. Sorry.